Hey everyone, Volpasa here, and the time has finally come for the finale of the Kirby 3D series, the moment you've all been waiting for. Probably longer than you should have. I'm not going to get into that right now, let's just jump into this. Some of you might be wondering what "other" meant as the subject of this episode. Well, I'll tell you. Other means Wii U exclusive possibilities, 3DS exclusive possibilities, expanding the conversation and letting Nintendo know, and at the end a big comment reading session where I've reread all comments from the last 7 episodes and picked out some that I feel bring up some discussion. Just because your comment isn't read doesn't mean it's stupid or I hate it or hate you. I just chose a couple that I wanted to respond to in the finale. Also, there were a lot of comments that I just wanted to reply to, but the new Google Plus system wouldn't let me, so that's why there's a video here, kind of a little bit for that part. And after all that, I will fire a ton of questions at you in case you didn't have enough already. We need to end this project on a discussion after all. So anyway, let's get started. First, some things this game could do on Wii U that it can't do on 3DS or Wii. The gamepad has a lot of possibilities for the game. At the time of making this, I currently don't own and have never played on a Wii U, but I can try my best to see how it could help, although many things would be gimmicks anyway. It probably wouldn't be a good idea to put motion or touchscreen as a vital part of gameplay. It doesn't make sense. One of the more obvious uses of these add-on features is to put them into minigames. I don't need to elaborate on this, I already talked about that. Or just play Mario Party. Certain abilities could also incorporate these features. Maybe a gimmick ability for a single level, where you have to, I don't know, use the touchpad to kill enemies or draw shapes and then they come to life, I don't know. Be creative. The other use of the gamepad is some sort of map screen. It would be a bird's eye map view, like in Kirby Air Ride and a lot of FPS games. It could let you see the layout of a level in a nearby radius, see some items, enemies approaching, whatever. Maybe even have a certain item, ability, or power-up that enhances the map's range or lets you see more things like secrets. Just a thought. Moving on to the 3DS. The 3DS has 3D capabilities, obviously, which hopefully will be used well in a 3D Kirby game. There is a newish trailer for a 2.5D platformer on the 3DS featuring Kirby. Yes, Kirby jumps between layers of the screen, but that's not 3D gameplay. That's just a pseudo 3D trick. Like that Wario Land game where you jump between the foreground and background. It's still a 2D game, it's just multiple layers of the 2D game. Not saying that game is bad or that style is bad or anything like that. It's just not a 3D platformer, that's just not what it is. Sorry for that tangent, I just need to get that out of the way. So I'm not super familiar with Street Pass or Miiverse. I just don't really know what they are. I haven't used it on my 3DS yet, and I don't really have a Wii U like I said before. So maybe there's a lot it could add to the experience. I've seen videos of a Miiverse community talking about New Super Mario Bros. U, sharing artwork and having discussions about it. I'm sure that would help the game. If a community built around this new, perhaps really popular 3D Kirby game grew, then who knows? There will be questions about this at the end. Now, it's really nice to speculate ideas, but will they actually matter? Nintendo has shown no motivation to do it, especially seeing that they are content to make another game in the same style as Kirby 64 on 3DS, coming out soon. So what should we do? Is it worth sending Nintendo a letter about it? Who knows if it'll go anywhere, but is it worth doing? This isn't rhetorical, I really want to know if this should be pursued anymore. This game has the potential to be amazing, and I'm sure they would be happy with their output. But I don't know, Nintendo is big on fan service, but not necessarily being bold lately, and this is a pretty bold idea. What's wrong with this game being a completely new style and just out there from the rest of the series? Alright, now for the comments section. Get ready! Episode 1. Gregory Sargent. A shield would be like a shield in Brawl. You'd hold down the button and you're invincible until the shield runs out and you gain a little damage. Yeah, that could definitely work. There were a lot of comments about the shield, and it could work. I'm not sure if it's entirely necessary, it's not like Mario or Sonic use one in 3D, but maybe it could be like how Link uses his shield. Keyblade Link. I agree with most of your opinions, Volt. I just have one thing. Maybe Y, instead of being used for melee, could be used as a secondary power for your ability. I know what you mean. It can work like that, but the melee also uses your ability too. Fire Punch, Tornado Kick, etc. So either way would be fine. But a second power would be more versatile for the game, so maybe that's a good change to make. 25 are on 25. In case you're wondering, yes, they did have other Kirby titles being made for the GameCube. One was going to be a sequel to Tilt and Tumble, but it was later changed to a different non-Kirby game that was soon cancelled. The second was going to play like a mix of Crystal Shards and Superstar, the partner mechanic from Superstar as 4-player co-op and Crystal Shards as general gameplay. The game was soon cancelled, but some things were carried over to Kirby's Return to Dreamland, such as HRD 3. That's really interesting information. I didn't know any of that starting this project. The fact that they even tried to make a project like this at one point just gives more potential that they'd make a game like this again. EJ Gaber 100. And when you think about it, everyone else is doing it or has done it. Mario, Zelda, Donkey Kong, Pokemon, Metroid, and even Kid Icarus have gotten to rock it in 3D. What's stopping Kirby? With the announcement of Pokemon X and Y, I for one think Kirby needs a 3D shocker to get his fans pumped again, and the time could not be better. I would not mind the game being on the Wii U or 3DS, but the 3DS is better because it is a handheld and it's called the 3DS. The attention and synergy would be huge. Yeah, I don't see why Kirby is not making it. He's a popular mascot, and not being in 3D is sort of holding him back, almost grouping him with other games that stay in 2D. 3DS would seem like a better place for him, but they're already making Triple Deluxe for him there, and as we know, it's pseudo 2.5. Still a good game, probably, hopefully. Tim G578. Yeah, that's the best way to do it. Let it move around, but limit the space to keep his floats from being broken. Also makes camera management easier. Also, hooray to this to getting over 2,000 views. Late thanks for the congratulations. Anyway, yeah, the game can be manipulated to make it so the float won't be able to skip levels like it could in Dreamland 2. There could be enemies in the air, limiting puffs, and just passages that you need to go under for, so it doesn't get broken so easily. Episode 2 comments. Gregory Sargent. Exploding Ds. Get too close and they explode. Tegai of Doom. Or maybe a Waddle Dee with a sword. Alright, these two comments made me chuckle a bit, because those are pretty nice ideas, and there's so many possibilities for the different Waddle Dee species to be expanded upon, like the Goomba line has. Sniper Ds would also need to make an appearance though, if you have exploding Ds. Episode 3 comments. FGD Paco says, paint roller could make models instead of paintings. Definitely. That perfectly fits the 3D theme of this game. That's a really inspiring idea, because there's so much it can do, and it would be a good part of the trailer of the game just to see that. Fabiola Fuandez, I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name, says, the name is Kirby 3D Blast in the Stars. Creative title idea. I can visualize a cover with that title. Episode 4 comments. Freepon Video says, okay, here's a good story. Everybody thinks that Kirby is full of shit because they think that he stole Star Rod, which explains why DDD and Kirby fight at the beginning of the game. But it turns out it wasn't Kirby who did it, it was Robo Kirby. Now that this robot version of Kirby has the Star Rod, he's like super powerful and is making tons of robots to control Dreamland, I guess, so Kirby and his friends have to stop him. Of course, there will also be a robot DDD, a robot Meta Knight, a robot whatever you want. Not that all enemies will be robots, but the bosses will be. I chose the robot theme because it's not a theme really exploited in Kirby. It works fine, and a robot DDD would be pretty fucking awesome. Again, made me laugh. Yeah, I like this. It's true robots haven't been expanded upon much, besides Egg Engines and Kirby Return to Dreamland. It'd be a pretty epic final boss between Star Rod Kirby and Robo Kirby, who is at his most powerful form. EGGamer100 says, yeah, it could be possible. I heard Sakurai responded to an angry fan letter about SSBB Awful Online. Maybe Hal will respond to this. Heck, I might just write my own letter. Really? Well, if they're willing to respond to some mail, why not this idea? Especially if the SSBB letter was just anger, and this is more constructive. And you can write your own letter if you want to, but we might write one together. I don't know. I really don't know. Episode 5 comments. The Sword of Skyward says, how do you get your footage? Do you make it yourself or something else? If I can capture the footage, I'll get it myself. Most of the Kirby gameplays is hand recorded, so you can see me suck at the game, but some things I have to download from online, like games I don't have. Episode 6. Keyblade Link says, laser would be really good if there were a bar that would charge up the more enemies you killed, and when you charged it up all the way, there would be a giant laser that would decimate everything in Kirby's path. Sword should have a ranged attack. You would throw your sword like a boomerang. Water should have a water melee attack. When you punch someone, they become trapped in a cube of water and drown. Yeah, okay. The sword range attack would be really crazy, but pretty useful. Heck, there could be a boomerang ability on its own. Maybe with Laser Kirby, Kirby would be able to spin around while firing either a charged or uncharged laser and cause chaos to all enemies nearby in a swirling laser of death. TJL Nintendo says, I was thinking like using the buttons B, Y, X, and even in different combinations to make different attack to occur, and some attacks might use L or R to attack too. Yeah, doing that makes Kirby more versatile, like in Kirby Return to Dreamland. He had so many attack variations, secondary abilities, crouching attacks, melee abilities, and so much else can be done with it. It just depends on what they think will be the most fun for each individual ability. And finally, Episode 7 comments. Kirby Pancakes says, I think customization is in order if they're gonna be online multiplayer, like the spray cans and Squeak Squad. Also, maybe clothing would be nice. In fact, maybe even making special ability hats. Make your own ability and share them online. That would be awesome. I made myself excited by my own idea. Customization. One of the most fun parts of Amazing Mirror for me was the collection room. I'm not sure how your clothing idea works, but it sounds pretty interesting. Like a special hat or something that gives Kirby a unique ability. Like maybe shooting fire but having ice melee. It could really open up the game to creative people. because maybe you can customize your own hats and have your own ability combinations, and it'd just be like out of control madness. Manic Tyrus says, what if you can play the story, but you can play as the enemy? Wouldn't that be a twist? Do you mean Kirby is the enemy of everyone, or do you mean play as Meta Knight or something like that? Either way, that would make a nice secondary game or mode you unlock later. And that concludes the comment section. Phew, now time for some questions. I really wanted to end this whole project off with some questions just so the discussion doesn't end and you can all still keep thinking about it. Or just ignore them and just have nothing to end on, your choice. So, here it goes. Should a touchscreen be used in the main game for anything? If so, what? How can Miiverse or Street Pass optimize the experience of this game? Should we pursue the idea of a 3D Kirby game any longer? Should we send a letter to Nintendo? Would you buy this game if it was on 3DS or on Wii U? Are you satisfied with all Kirby games now being 2D platformers, even if they innovate each Kirby game in various ways, like I said before? Because each Kirby game is different, but they're starting to become a little bit more similar. There's only so much you can do with it. Alright, that ends off my questions. Thanks for watching. I'm not even going to end with a shameless plug this time. Just thank you so much for watching this entire series. I would argue that making it changed my life just a little bit. See y'all later, and I'm really interested to see what happens with this. And I hope that everyone watching this responds to at least one of those questions or anything I said. It doesn't even have to relate to this video. It can be anywhere in the series. Was that a plug? I don't think it was. It was just a call to discussion. I don't know. Anyway, I'm just gonna leave now. So, bye. See y'all next time.